Da 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 da. My
Da-da.
name's Joe.
Oh,
Da 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 da.
da-da-da-da.
My name's Lauren. Da 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 da.
Da-da-da-da.
NeuroNerds.
NeuroNerds.
Oh
Oh,
my
shit.
God.
Hold
That's
on.
golden.
Hi, I'm Joe,
And I'm Lauren.
and we are
The
NeuroNerds.
Yes, that was on time.
I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good about that.
NeuroNerds.
All right, guys, welcome back to the NeuroNerds. Today, we're going to kind of start right off with some nerdy aspects. We're going to talk about our favorite villains and
Boom.
why.
Because villains are awesome.
You can't have a good story and a good hero without a villain.
Right. The greatest movies, comic book or other, I think are defined by the villains. You know.
Yes, and it's not just your evil overlord coming to destroy the world or enslave the world, one-note hero.
Right,
Or
you're-
one-note villain. It
You're
is
Dr. Evil petting a cat,
Yes.
asking for $1 billion.
or sharks with freaking laser beams. Actually, I still argue that Dr. Evil defines Austin Power movies. You can't have Austin Powers without Dr. Evil.
That's very true.
Or Mini-Me. But the more built and the more developed your villain is.
Oh, why is it that we were talking about Loki and now you're talking about builds? Mm-hmm. Are you talking about Tom Hiddleston's build?
What builds? I'm missing the innuendo here. Anyways, if I had a little screen, like a discretion screen.
It's like a mental screen.
Anyways, the more developed your villain is, or your anti-hero, or whoever you have in there, the better it is going to propel your story and your hero's journey. So our goal was, one, to talk about who are villains, whether we do like the pointless, like we're just here to destroy the earth, mwahaha, or is it like, do you have a super complicated anti-hero that you love?
I think every Batman villain, I think he has the best rogues gallery. One of my favorites is Mr. Freeze. And
which version?
It definitely not Arnold Schwarzenegger version. I think the version from the cartoons and the version from the video game, Arkham Asylum, Arkham City.
Okay.
Amazing. So in the cartoon, it was awesome because he was a doctor, and then his wife was dying and she's like frozen.
Mm-hmm.
And like the company was like, it's like, I don't know. He was just like, he just needed to make her okay. Everything he did, every evil thing that he did was to get his wife help.
Yes.
That's all it was. If she was fine, he was going to be fine. But every time she was in danger, like, he just went a little crazy.
Okay.
And so I love that story. He's only a villain because he was trying to help his wife. He did it out of love.
Right. But when did it go from love to either his own... I don't know Mr. Freeze much outside of the horrible movie.
It's so bad. Ice to meet you.
Okay, but I do appreciate how campy it is. Okay, it's so awesome. But I'm sure at some point it had to have transformed from just everything for his wife to a little bit more about him.
Yeah, but the underlying, it was always about his wife. Like every time he went out and like he stole diamonds.
Well, then
and,
how
he needed to do these things? He did that to fund to buy a research facility, or like to do all the things that he needed to do to keep his wife alive.
So then how did Mr. Freeze's arc in the comic and or cartoon affect Batman?
Well,
besides being his villain of the episode.
Well, Batman, it's again, Batman's a little torn with Mr. Freeze too, because he's like, oh shit, man, like he's just trying to help his wife. But then he's like, well, you can't help your wife and hurt people or steal or destroy. So it's like this weird thing. But Batman being Batman, he's always awesome. So he's like, cool, you're now in a frozen prison. I'm gonna do my best to help your wife.
Okay.
Which is cool.
So that's one of your favorite villains?
I love Mr. Freeze because like is he a villain? Like, God forbid something happened to somebody so dear to you, you would do anything and everything in your power to help that person.
So now you're pushing towards the Joker, where everyone is just one bad day away.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you really think about that, that's kind of true. So like with Mr. Freeze in particular, he's like, all right, I'm hurting all these other people, yes, but I'm only hurting them as a means to help the one person that I love more than anything in this world.
So his ends justify the means.
For him,
yes.
Yes. And if you think about it, like outside, it's like, yeah, I might do the exact same thing.
Right. So that makes him a little relatable if you remove the ice suits and all the ice puns.
Right.
That maybe people can connect to his justification for what he's doing.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, so was it Jean Valjean? He stole bread?
Yes.
He stole.
Ooh, look at us. We're getting deep.
Boom. How nerdy was that?
Yeah. Now where's that from?
Les Miserables. Boom.
Les Miserables.
Yeah. And so
Okay.
he stole bread to feed his family.
Yes.
Now, is that evil? It's illegal.
Yes.
It's a crime.
Yes.
But is it evil?
Correct.
So he did that because those ends justified the means of feeding his family.
Right.
So it was justified that way. Mr. Freeze, he's doing everything. He's robbing, he's stealing, in some cases murdering to help his wife. The one person he has left, the one person that he would literally do all this stuff for.
Mm-hmm.
Like the reason he exists is to make sure his wife is to see his wife alive again.
Yes.
You know, and I think that's beautiful.
That's awesome.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good villain from DC.
I think so. By the way, I thought Patrick Stewart should have played Mr. Freeze. No, not because if you look at Mr. Freeze, he's more of a feeble, nerdy white guy.
Okay.
Not a giant Austrian
bodybuilding,
California, economy destroying Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's really weird.
Correct.
It was so strange.
Well, so if we're going off people Arnold Schwarzenegger has played, and I hadn't thought about this villain until you mentioned it, but I was thinking about the Terminator.
Yeah.
Right? So in the first Terminator, right, Sarah Connor, the T-1000, right?
Mm-hmm.
T-800.
I thought it was T-1000.
T-1000 is the
that's
one.
right, the liquid one. It's the T-800.
So the T-800, which is played by Arnold Schwarzenegger in the first movie, is the villain, right? He's there trying to kill Sarah Connor and or Kyle Reese. Yeah. So he's sent back in time to kill Kyle Reese. Sarah Connor is like, oh, okay, this guy's the bad guy. They conceive John. And then at the end of the day, they are able to kill the Terminator, right? That's pretty much like your basic, like, must kill robot, you know.
Your literal Terminator.
Yeah, your literal Terminator. But what I really love about Judgment Day, Terminator 2 Judgment Day,
is it everything? Because it's a perfect movie.
It's an amazing movie. I will watch it anytime it is on TV. It is right up there with Hunt for Red October for me.
Really?
Yeah, because that's one of my favorite movies.
It's up there with Aliens 2 for me.
So in Judgment Day, what I like is they send the T-1000, right? And then John sends back the T-800, right? So if you imagine, it's 10 years later, 12 years later,
mm-hmm.
and Sarah Connor, and we even have that scene when she's in the mental hospital where she's being rescued by John.
Oh, so
right?
dope.
And she's terrified of the Terminator because to her, the Terminator was trying to kill them, did kill them, right? And he says the iconic line, "Come with me if you want to
live."
Yes, exactly, right? And so, regardless of that fact that here he's been reprogrammed by John to save him, I love there's a couple scenes, and there was also a couple deleted scenes apparently, or rewrites that happened where the Terminator actually kind of became John's pseudo father figure.
Right. Yeah, it was a little weird. I saw the deleted scenes.
But I liked it, and I liked that Sarah was commenting on it because, John, here you're talking about a chosen one, right?
Mm-hmm.
John has basically been told since the beginning that he's the savior of humanity, right? He's going to lead the resistance. And of course, as he says, like from all the different men that Sarah was able to hook up with, either to learn something or to gain something.
I think that was just an excuse for her to go around whoring.
My God. But regardless, right?
No?
So John never had a father figure because
Mm-hmm.
it was very clear that Kyle Reese was John's dad or whatever. But what I liked was seeing that relationship happening, especially when you have a clear villain from the first one. And then in the second one, it's this return and he's still a bad guy.
It's like the same dude, but now he's not. He's the most likable murdering robot ever.
Yeah, and it's like he was able to learn, right? I don't know if the AI in there was actually learning, but it changed, right? Well, he was learning because he's talking about he knows why they cry, like why they can cry.
Right. And no, also he learned not to kill. And
Right.
he's like, oh, well, killing him, it's the fastest way. He's like, no, don't kill.
Exactly.
So he shot all the cops in the knees.
Exactly. And then I like how his little screen, it says casualty 0.0, right? Yeah. Like he could have had a 0.4,
right,
you know,
right.
Someone bleeding out. But what I liked was this transformation in a clear villain into an anti-hero, right? And it was, again, if we're talking about love, it was, again, for this affection and love, kind of showing that a machine could, it was like the idea, does a machine feel? Can they grow or learn to love? Right. Which is already a scary thought because we already had Skynet, right?
Do they dream of electric sheep?
I know, right? But if you think about it, so we're kind of in the age of possible Skynet, like, holy shit. In real
look
life.
at our phones.
It's terrifying. Or they're saying, I just read something where apparently Alexa.
Oh, she heard you.
Oh my God. There's one in here. It's terrifying. There's been like reports that she randomly laughs sometimes.
Oh yeah, it's like so creepy,
right? And so like Google's like, or Amazon or whoever is like, don't worry about it. Like, we're fixing it. But it's like, oh, so what the hell's going on?
Right.
So right. I think about like we're in the age of possible Skynet.
Right. I think our tech is judging us.
It's frightening, right? It's a little frightening.
And to open our phone now, we look at it and it sees us. It's like, it's you.
I refuse to do that face recognition. No, thank you. But it does bring up the idea of, can a machine learn? Can a machine feel? And is it genuine? And I would like to think that the T-800 Arnold version that's there for John Connor, he did learn and he did have affection and love for John.
So here's how I feel about robots, though. Okay, it's the information that you're pumping in. Because Mr.
Freeze was kind of a robot.
But he was a real person.
Correct.
He wasn't even like a cyborg. He was just, he went through this thing and he's like, oh, the only way I can live is if I'm like, right, exactly, is in this frozen super suit, or I die, but still human. So a robot, a computer, a robot or a computer, everything it knows is what we put into it.
Correct.
All the information it has is all the information that we have. So once it starts figuring out information based on that information, cool, it's now becoming sentient, right?
Yes.
It's creating its own thoughts and memories, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like so far, all the information that it has is all the information that we have that we've put in it. So,
correct.
Yeah.
Well, and then I think it also, I didn't anticipate us going this way, but this is cool too. It's like, what defines us as human, right? What is it to be human? We do have the, I think what separates us from animals is our brain and our cognitive function and the way we're able to create there's some scientific way to say it, but basically it's our brain power and what we're able to do.
Our opposable thumbs.
Yes, our opposable thumbs, what we can do with them. But so,
oh my God, just got weird.
So weird for you. But so there's that. And so, but if we're looking at machines, like what other machines do we have in basically almost every dystopian novel that has any sort of machines to it? There's some fear of robots taking over the world.
Right, it's like the
body
Matrix.
Snatchers.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Right? Body snatchers, the Matrix.
The Matrix, right? So then it becomes, what is it to be human, right?
Right.
And some people say, well, it's the ability to feel love, right? And some people would argue, what I would maybe argue is maybe nihilistic or very cynical people is that love is just simply a hormonal chemical reaction.
It's a feeling of familiarity.
Right. So if we have examples in media and comic books and history and other things of, well, maybe not history, but mythology or something like that, where there's robots that can feel and learn, it's like, what now separates us, right? And if you think about like even our own brains, right? So like, since
our brains are like a hard drive.
Since this is still a talk about brain injuries, right? So what happens when you get an injury, when you get the blue screen of death for 5 minutes on your own brain, right? Like you kind of fried your brain, you banged your brain, you exploded your brain.
You're right.
Right? So one or the other, it's like, what happens now? I didn't have any huge feelings of like, oh my God, like, am I real? Right. But I've met people that literally have they have a couple of mental illnesses where they literally don't think the world's real anymore. Like their grasp of reality is different.
I'm working on that. Yeah. It took me a while, especially coming back, and I really felt like I woke up in a parallel universe. I did, because everything went black for me for like, I don't know, a month or two. It was a lot. So like in waking up and then just seeing the things that have happened, I was like, oh my God, I woke up into Back to the Future 2 where this orange idiot is taking over. It's really weird.
It's like Captain America. Like he went to sleep with the Nazis and then woke up and he's fighting the Chitauri. It's like, what the fuck?
That's exactly how I say that at least 5 times a day. I say that when I wake up every morning.
What the fuck?
It's weird. I don't know. The brain is a very strange thing.
Oh, like the idea of mind over matter is 100% true.
I agree.
The more if you believe something enough, the brain will make it happen. There are people who are not sick, but they tell themselves and they believe wholeheartedly that they're sick, so the brain will create a sickness in your body.
I've seen you can create hives on your own body, even though you're not allergic to anything. Your brain is a powerful thing. It can heal, it can hurt, but it all depends on, like, I don't know, where you channel that energy.
Yes.
So like for me, I'm channeling that energy into like all positiveness.
Exactly.
It's all rainbows and butterflies for me.
Well, it's not always rainbows and butterflies.
It's not. So here's the thing. Being mentally, I guess, healthier than I've ever been in my life.
Oh, I was gonna say something else.
Thanks, partner. So I'm the healthiest that I've ever been, and I don't remember where I heard it, but I did hear it. See,
there was a voice in your head that told you.
Yeah, it spoke German, so I didn't really understand what it said.
Hail Hydra.
That's exactly what I said. So it's that's the memory thing, short-term memory. It's not great, but I do remember exactly what was said, and it's not that healthy people or positive people, the world, every time I talk to somebody about being positive, I hear this a lot. Well, the world isn't positive. And, not everything is great. That is very true.
100%.
It just depends on what you focus on. Do you want to focus on how terrible things are, how bad the weather is, how the economy is this and this person did that? Or do you want to focus on, man, how beautiful is the sky today? Or,
man, I woke up today.
Like, how amazing in that. So it's not necessarily oh man, see, I'm glad I have water. It's not necessarily that like I'm super positive and there's nothing bad out there. It's just being this mentally healthy, I can deal with the bad a lot better than I used to. And people who are so stuck and angry and upset, they just haven't been able to either process that out, or they haven't hit that point where they can focus or shift to like the positive instead of just all the negative.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point in looking even at our villains in popular culture, with Loki or not Ultron, because Ultron's just a machine, but you have all these people that are focused in their suffering and their victimhood, and these characters, looking at Loki, one of my favorite villains. I think the MCU's probably most successful villain.
NeuroNerd Lauren, have you seen Black Panther yet?
Shut up. That's a different type. That's a different type of villain.
No, it's an amazing villain. A lot like Loki.
Yes, I agree.
A lot like Loki.
But
Killmonger.
But there's some people who haven't seen Black Panther.
No, that's true.
So we're gonna stick with Loki.
We'll stick with Loki because if you haven't seen like the Avengers or Thor, it's kind of a problem.
Yeah,
you should.
You're so 2000 and late. Like, come on.
You are. But Killmonger is right there with Loki with the same kind of like. He's a villain.
There's this.
But I understand where this dude's coming from.
Yes. So if we're looking at Loki, from at least his MCU movie verse kind of origin story, he's been quote unquote victimized his whole life. He's felt insecure and unworthy and unloved, not good enough. A lot of us have these same things. And Loki had a choice. Unfortunately, he didn't choose the best way, and circumstances as they were did not encourage him to choose the positive path. But even through the movies that the character of Loki has been in, and through the brilliance of Tom Hiddleston's acting, it's been able to show that Loki is still focusing on his own internal pain and not taking accountability that his actions now, it's no longer what happened to you, it's what you're doing now. It's just perpetuating his villainry.
Right.
And yes, we all love him, we adore him, but he's still a bad guy right now. Right now, after Ragnarok, he's trying to be better, right? Because I think it really hurt him in that scene where Thor's like, "I thought the world of you," right? And he's like, "Yeah, now we're good, peace out."
He's like, he's my brother. He killed 80 people.
Yeah,
step brother.
No, he's adopted.
Yeah.
But so if looking at that and we take that into ourselves, it's like, how much do we focus on that negativity? Joe was talking about energy vortexes, And when you're having, a bad day, you're going to wake up with a crick in your neck. You're going to come out of your bed and stub your toe on your desk. You're going to get up and you're going to forget you forgot to get gas and you're running late. You're going to go to the gas station and all the pumps are full. And then you're going to get in traffic when there's some stupid car accident that's in front of you. And everything just goes wrong. I'm sure we've all had those days where everything just seems to go wrong.
Yeah, you're just stuck in a negative vortex. Like, I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen to other people because, unfortunately, my whole life I was surrounded by people who are just stuck in negativity. And then I've also seen it happen to myself where I'll like wake up and, I'm like, oh, well, this phone call just didn't go right. And then I'll stub my toe. And then like I'll drop something and break something. And then I'll forget, oh, well, I was supposed to do this and this got canceled. And I'm just like, oh, wow, like all of this negative stuff just happened. Maybe I'm bringing this, upon myself. Once I kind of shifted, again, therapy, amazing. Once I started like really, really focusing on the positive, after you have a near-death experience, nothing is really too bad.
No.
It's like, oh man, traffic.
It gives you real perspective.
It really does. Or like, oh man, this guy just flipped you off. Oh yeah, it sucks for that guy. Like he's having a horrible day. There's no way that's gonna affect me because I'm here. I'm breathing, I'm walking, I'm remembering what's happened. This is awesome.
One of the things I do for Lent, because I already give up, I can't eat bread to begin with, and I love chocolate, but it's easy not to eat it.
Both of those things are so delicious.
Shut up. One of the things I do for Lent is I give up thinking negative thoughts about other people.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, and it's hard because especially when I drive hours and hours a day. I drive like 100 miles a day for work and stuff. But, so I'm on the freeway and there's people who don't know how to drive and they suck. And oh my God. And I get so angry.
Are you saying those people are women? You're sexist, Lauren.
I'm a woman and I drive great despite my many, many car accidents.
Being raised by all women. Clearly I'm joking.
Right. But it's so easy how we can expend energy, like thinking about, oh, this person who cut me off and oh my God, they're in a Prius. I hate Priuses. Prius-I, or Prius, as they say on Top Gear. The original Top Gear. I cannot watch the new one. But no, I'm serious, right? But we spend so much energy just thinking negative thoughts about other people. So I catch myself as I start it. And what's cool is I've made like the decision not to think it is I actually can't complete the thought. Like I will start being like, oh my God, this, and then it stops the thought.
That's awesome.
Because I remember that I'm like, wait, we're not thinking about that.
Right.
So I'm focusing less negative energy. I'm working on feeling it towards myself because it's a lot easier to get mad at yourself and be negative towards yourself.
Absolutely.
So, but now that's also pointing out when I start to feel negative about myself, it's like, oh, recognize. Maybe I can't resolve it right away, but I can at least recognize I'm being unfairly negative.
That sounds like super healthy.
Yeah, it's really hard.
Very difficult. I mean, the best things in the world for us are super difficult, but very well worth it. If you can get through like the little hump of just starting it and getting past it, it's so much easier. So like I'm writing this really amazing positive momentum and this positive vortex, and I'm just like trying to stay there. And
the opposite of the negative vortex is the positive vortex.
I think it's really helped in my recovery. Like I never fought, I didn't fight too hard with a lot of my recovery physically, mentally. I was just like, all right, I need some help. It sucked that I couldn't really walk very well getting out of the hospital, but not once was I just gonna all right, well, I don't want anybody to help me walk.
No, at least you could walk.
Exactly. I had to use a cane, and I was like, I didn't want to use the cane, but I did. Like I would forget. I'm doing quote fingers. I would forget it at home, but I would use it until I didn't have to use it anymore. I did all the exercises. I did all the things I was supposed to with my physical therapist. And I didn't even. Much as I wanted to just lie and say everything was fine, I'd say, all right, well, talks to my physical therapist. I fell down yesterday. I lost my balance. I did this, I did that, and I stood positive no matter what. I would forget everything. There was somebody that I met like a week ago, and then when I saw him again, I'm like, I have no idea who you are. I tell my occupational therapist that, and we worked really, really hard, and I stood positive instead of getting frustrated when I would forget stuff, when I would feel like I was reverting, which is all the time. It still happens.
Yes.
It still happens now.
You don't trust the recovery.
No. I'll have like a little freak out. I'll have something, and I'm like, man, I how am I here again? Like I've come so far, but that's true. I have come so far to fall back.
Yes.
So
one step forward, two steps back sometimes, you know?
Exactly. But you're still moving forward no matter what.
Keep stumbling forward.
Exactly. If you're going to trip up, you're going to have a hiccup. But like, let's not turn that like little trip into a fall down
like
a bunch
abyss.
of steps.
You're not falling off the Bifrost into the void, okay?
Ooh,
right?
Super nerdy. Love that.
Well, not that nerdy, because we know what happened to Loki. Thanos found him and tortured him.
Right. Yeah. And nobody wants to be tortured by Thanos.
No, not at all. Because you will only wish for something as sweet as pain.
but yeah, it's if you stay positive, like positive things happen. I know it sounds super campy and super hippie, but like energy is like a beautiful thing. And if you focus on like the positive, nothing but positive things can happen. Even if like some negative shit pops up, which it's going to, you're in a much better place mentally to deal with it and move forward like in a good way.
Like, have your moment, have a pity party, say, my God, this sucks. This is really hard. I'm really sad. I'm not happy. And then move on. Yeah,
look, everybody, there's been horrible things happening to everybody.
Yes.
You can't let what somebody else does or say affect you. You're stronger than that. You're better than that, you know?
And I always like to tell people, your trauma is your trauma is your trauma. You cannot compare your trauma to anyone else.
At all.
So if I'm thinking about me, like my trauma pre-head injury was like, oh, I had a depressive episode and I was super sad, and mine had to do with being a control freak and issues of mediocrity, because I'm terrified of that, right?
You're definitely not that, though.
No. So that was my issue and my quote unquote trauma. And then I would start to minimize it and feel really bad, like when people would talk to me and they've had, repressed sexual abuse as children, right? And then I'd sit there and be like, oh my God, why is this such a big reaction in me? And by comparison, but what you're comparing there is like apples to elephants.
Right.
Like,
you just can't. There's no comparison. You know? And on my side, I always wanted to be mediocre, but I can't because I'm so amazing.
And humble.
So I'm the most humble. The most. But everybody's story is their story.
Yes.
You know? And my biggest thing with everybody, including myself, and I hope everybody feels this, no matter what trauma you went through, whether it's like, personal, whether it's physical, no matter what it is, be better than it. Don't let it define you, no matter what it is.
Work beyond it.
Work beyond it.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a little scary when someone says, oh, be positive. Oh, you're still here. There's almost this there's a heaviness. There's an obligation or responsibility that gets attached with it. And we put an unrealistic timeline on ourselves to move past it and get better. But I always like to say, you just got to keep moving every day. Some days you might move a mile and some days you move half an inch.
That's great. I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
You just got to keep moving and trucking kind of forward. Your forward might turn a little sideways. It might turn a little circle back. But as long as you keep stumbling forward.
And keep your
progress.
intentions always moving forward. Be like Luke Cage. Always forward. You're right. Come on.
Well, and on that note, thanks guys again. Make sure to follow us on social media.
Right. You can check us out at the NeuroNerds, everything, theneuronerds.com, at the NeuroNerds on Instagram,
Don't
Facebook.
forget the.
Yeah, we are the NeuroNerds. The tomato.
I
am at Joso Rocks everything. Check out, my blog on my website, josorocks.com. And anybody, I want to hear your stories. I actually want to post your stories on the You So Rock section of my website, because you guys do so rock. And, leave comments, hit us up individually. We're very nice people.
You can also catch me on Instagram because I don't have the same handle for everything. I'm Lauren L. Manzano. Twitter, it's TankBBG. And then make sure you can share this episode with anyone or listen to it at any time on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, and SoundCloud.
Boom. NeuroNerds.
Unite.
Damn it.
Let's try that again.
NeuroNerds. Unite. Oh, I'm glad we didn't go the other way.
I know. Thanks, guys.